If you're sick and afflicted, but you don't know what to do, just call on Jesus. He will see you through. King Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. Well, I'm down in trouble, Lord. Send an angel by my way. Put old Paul in prison along about the midnight hour, and he began to call on Jesus, and he heard his prayer. King Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. Well, I'm down here in trouble, Lord. Send an angel by my way. Lord, I can't stop, King Jesus. I know you hear me when I pray. Well, I'm down here in trouble, Lord. Send an angel by my way. Now they put old Paul in prison along about the midnight hour. He began to call on Jesus, and he heard his prayer. King Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. I'm down here in trouble, Lord. Send an angel by my way. Now, Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. King Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. For I'm down here in trouble, Lord. Send an angel by my way.
For the world that's lost in darkness, for the saint that's gone astray, for the sinner blind but searching, and the child in need of faith, for the homeless and forsaken, for the hungry and the cold, for the prisoner and the captive, for the young and for the old, there is a remedy. For every sin, sick soul, there is a cure for all. All the pain, hurt, and wrong, there is a solution. For all the problems deep inside, there is a remedy. His name is Jesus Christ. For the bitter and the lonely, for the weary and afraid, for the burdened and frustrated, the discouraged and dismayed, for the mocked and persecuted, for the battered and the wronged, for the scarred and for the wounded, for the weak and for the strong, there is a remedy. For every sin, sick soul, there is a cure for all. All the pain, hurt, and wrong, there is a solution. For the problems deep inside, there is a remedy. His name is Jesus Christ. For every tribe and every nation, and every color, every race, every tongue and every language, for every time and every place, there's an answer to all the questions there is longing for. There's a healer for the dying. He's the light, the truth, the way. There a remedy. For every sin sick soul, there is a cure for all. All the pain, hurt, and wrong, there is a solution. For every problem deep inside, there is a remedy. His name is Jesus Christ. Every tribe and every nation, every color, every race, every tongue and every language, every time and every place, there's an answer to all of our questions. There's love for all the hate. There's a healer for all the dying. He's the light, the truth, the way. There is a remedy. For every sin sick soul, there is a cure for all. All the pain, hurt, and wrong, there is a solution. For all the problems deep inside, there is a remedy. His name is Jesus Christ. Oh, his name is Jesus Christ.
Since I knew I was going to be here with so many of my sisters, I wanted to talk to you in a way that's more keeping of my sister's keeper in the Lord. How can we, as women of God, help keep the relationships good with the sisters that surround us? So my topic tonight is face-to-face living in a Facebook world. And the reason I say that is because I've had a Facebook for many years. I don't even know how many years. It's been a long time since right after it first began, because I have 2 daughters. And because my daughters had Facebook and I wanted to keep up with them, and also because I have lived away from my children a lot in the work that we do, and it's a way for me to connect with them and for them to show me pictures and, you know, all that kind of thing. But my husband says about Facebook that it is artificial relationships. It is so easy to feel that you're really connected to people, but then when you see them in person, you realize, I don't really know this person. And so face-to-face living is a lot different. But we are, right now, having to do every day face-to-face living in a Facebook world. I'd like for us to look at James chapter 3, verses 13 through 18. I just typed my scripture on here and didn't bring my Bible to the pulpit because when I get nervous, if I have too much stuff up here, things would go flying everywhere. James chapter 3, verses 13 through 18. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you will find disorder and every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. Life on earth is getting a little crazier every day. And I don't know about you, but it seems in the last couple of years, it is just exponentially, just like every day when you wake up, I sit there with my mouth hanging open. I just cannot believe some of the things that are happening. And life is crazy because people are crazy. More and more, life is filled with drama. People are filled with drama. We need to learn to deal with the drama. We need to learn to deal with difficult people in our lives. The key verse in this passage is verse 18. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. Here, righteousness is the same thing as goodness. In other words, good things will happen to those who sow peace. What you sow, you reap. We've always heard that. In every relationship, though, what we have to remember is that we're sowing seeds. With every relationship, we're either sowing seeds of anger or seeds of trust, seeds of conflict or seeds of peace. How do you plant seeds of peace in your relationships? How do you have peaceful relationships? We're going to talk about that tonight. The way to do this is by being wise with people. Not knowledgeable, but wise. There is a difference. Have you ever noticed, that's okay, have you ever noticed how uncommon common sense is? Especially in relationships. It's like when you get to be in a relationship with somebody, whether it's your husband and wife, children, whatever, it's like common sense just flies out the window. Sometimes we do exactly the opposite of what we know we should do when we're dealing with people, and we act foolishly toward them, and it causes all kinds of drama. Has something ever happened and then you have said to yourself, why in the world did I say that? Or why did I do that? In this passage, James defines real wisdom. He shows how it differs from our normal responses. Then he deals with how it operates. He says, wisdom is pure, peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. So first of all, we have to understand that having wisdom is a lifestyle. It's not something that's just going to fall in your lap. It is something that has to be developed over a lifetime sometimes. It's a way to relate to people. It's practical use of the knowledge that we get. It has more to do with what you do and your works than it has to do with your words, because we all know, you can say it all day long, but that doesn't mean that you know how to do it. Wisdom is based on your character, not your intelligence and your education. Some of the wisest people I have ever met do not have an education. The wisest woman I have ever known never even made it through the 6th grade. My 94-year-old grandmother has more wisdom in her little finger than I think I will ever have in my whole body. And sometimes when I'm facing a challenging situation, she's the one that I'd love to just go sit down with and have a nice, quiet, peaceful conversation. And you know what? Some of the things I have found out from her, for one thing, she never gets in a hurry. And as women, I think a lot of times, can I tell you one of the differences between men and women? When a man doesn't know what to do, they typically don't do anything. Now, when a woman doesn't know what to do, she's going to do something. Whether it's right or wrong, she's going to do something. But when we have wisdom, it's not based on any education or the intelligence that we have. It is who you really are. After all, the words coming out of your mouth are just a result of what you think and what you feel. But secondly, he says here in this verse that a lack of wisdom is what causes our problems. When I'm unwise toward people around me, it causes problems. So how do we know if we're being wise in our relationships? We're going to take a little wisdom test here to see how wise we are in the way that we relate to other people. So the Bible says that if I am wise, I will act 6 different specific ways toward other people. And I'm calling these the 6 ways of wisdom. So number 1, if I'm wise, I will not compromise my integrity. And that's the bottom line, ladies. It's got to all start and finish there. Because if you don't have integrity, we might as well just stop, and it doesn't really matter to going on to the next 5. Wisdom that comes from heaven is pure. That means uncorrupted, authentic, real. He's talking here about integrity. If I am wise, I am not going to lie to you. I'm not going to cheat you. I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to skirt around the truth. I'm not going to take advantage of you. And I'm not going to deliberately mislead you. Why do you think this is listed first? Like I said, you can't go further beyond here unless you have integrity. All relationships are built on trust. I can give you a perfect example of this in my youngest. My youngest daughter, Hannah, I have two daughters. Sarah is 27. She's married. She lives in a suburb of Chattanooga, Tennessee. And then my youngest daughter, Hannah, is 20, and she goes to college in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And Hannah has had health problems her whole life. Excuse me. She was born with a disease called cystic fibrosis that affects your digestion and your lungs. And so, of course, Hannah has had all kind of hospital visits, doctor visits. She has had as many as 9 doctors at a time. And when she was very small and we would have to go to the doctor, I wanted to try to make it as easy on her as possible. But I came to realize that, I had to be very honest with her. And so when I knew she was having to go to the doctor and have something done that was going to be unpleasant, I would not tell her about it until the very last minute because she would just worry about it. I found that she would worry about it for days and ask me questions about it. And, Mommy, is it going to hurt? And, these kind of things. And so I learned, I just didn't tell her until the last minute when we were on our way to the doctor. And so I was always very honest with her, and I sat down and I told her, I said, Mommy will always tell you the truth so that you don't have to worry. And so this one particular day, we were going to the doctor, and so we get in the car, and I tell her, okay, well, we're going to the doctor. And she said, am I going to get any boo-boos? I said, no, this is a boo-boo-free day. This is just a regular old doctor visit, and this is a no boo-boo. It was just a well visit, And she's like, oh, okay. So we get there, and we get through the visit, and the doctor says, well, I see here that, I can't even remember what it was, but she needed a shot. And I said, well, I really don't think that, we need to do that today. And, he was pretty insistent, yeah, we need to do that today. And so I sat down with Hannah, and I took her hands, and I said, now, Hannah, Mommy told you that you were not going to have any boo-boos today, but I was wrong. And I didn't know. And she started crying, but you said it was a no boo-boo day. You said it was a no boo-boo day. And I start crying, and I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. It's supposed to be a no boo-boo day. And so she ended up getting her shot, and she was crying, and so I held her, and I was trying to comfort her, and I was crying. I said, oh, honey, Mommy's so sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I promise I didn't know. And she stopped crying, and she got my face in her little hands, and she said, I forgive you. But Hannah knew she could trust me. And so when I told Hannah something, she believed it. All relationships have to be built on trust to work properly. Dr. Leonard Keeler is the guy who invented the lie detector. After interviewing many thousands and thousands of people, he was interviewed. And they asked him, after all of these years, after interviewing thousands and thousands of people, given thousands of lie detector tests, what can you tell us about people? And this is what he said. People lie. It's sad. As a result, we have bad relationships. If I am wise, I will not compromise my integrity. Proverbs 10:9 says, the man of integrity walks securely. He's not afraid of being found out. You know that there were old jokes about somebody, not being able to keep up with their lies. But, that happens to people a lot. You can't remember which lie you've told to who, so it makes you very insecure. If you don't have integrity, it makes you fearful and on guard in your relationships. But if I'm wise, I will operate with integrity. Number 2, if I am wise, I will not antagonize your anger. Wise people work at maintaining harmony. It doesn't happen naturally. We all know that. You have to work at it. The verses we mentioned said that wise people are peace-loving. We have to remember that the relationship, and I can't stress this enough, in anything that you do, I don't care whether it's with your family, on your job, at the gas station, driving down the road, no matter what you are doing, the relationship or the person is always more important than being right. I have a term I like to use for people who aren't happy unless they have drama in their lives. I call it a soap opera mentality. There are just some people who are not happy unless they've got something stirred up or something going on. That means that they like having drama in their life. That brings to mind something that Bishop told us a few weeks ago in our staff meeting. I can't remember if Janice was there or not. And I wrote it down because it had such a big impact on me. I was over there scribbling. He was going on to other things, and I was trying to make sure I got this scribbled down correctly. He said, when you get frustrated with people, it's not because what they are or are not doing. Now think about this. If you're frustrated with somebody, it's not because what they're doing or what they're not doing. It's because you haven't spent enough time in prayer. Now let's stew on that for just a minute. Somebody could walk up to you and say, that is the ugliest dress I think I have ever seen. Then what happens? You have a choice. You can slap their face, or you can laugh and say, I know, I hate this old dress. Or you can say, you're a very mean person, and I'm going to walk away now. You know, you have a choice in how you react. So if we are wise, we know that life is better without the drama. So if I'm wise, I'm not going to antagonize your anger. I'm going to remember that the person is always more important than being right, no matter what the situation. If I am wise, third, I will not minimize your feelings. This one is a little more complicated. James mentions being considerate. Being considerate means being mindful of the feelings of others, caring about their feelings. One of the mistakes we make in relationships is believing that everybody is supposed to feel the same way about things that we do. And I am guilty of this sometimes without even thinking about it. Something will happen, and I'll think, oh, well, that's no big deal. And, I'll turn around to walk away, and somebody's standing over here crying. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, well, didn't you hear what they just said? And I'm like, yeah, but that's no big deal. Why are you crying? So what am I doing to that person? I'm telling what you're feeling is not real. That doesn't really matter. Although feelings may be based on wrong information, the feelings are still real for that person. Feelings are based on the perception of the person feeling them. You've probably heard the quote, your perception is your reality. Proverbs 15:4 says, kind words bring life, but cruel words crush your spirit. Instead of saying, oh, that's silly, get over it. You shouldn't feel this way. God says that if I'm wise, I'll use words like, I love you so much. What can I do to help? What can I do to make you feel better? And the game of one-upmanship is another one of these things. Do you know what I'm talking about? When you're standing there saying, I just don't know what I'm going to do. My father just passed away. I'm maybe going to have to put my mother in a nursing home. And, she doesn't have any money. And you're sitting there pouring your heart out to somebody. And they say, oh, honey, you think you've got it bad. My car just broke down. I just lost my job, blah, blah, blah. And they start naming the thing and leave you feeling like, well, I just don't have anybody to talk to. That's the game of one-upmanship. I think sometimes we're used to there being so many dramatic things going on that, we just keep that wheel rolling instead of stopping and saying, I'm not going to minimize your feelings. I'm going to let you know right now that I care about what you're feeling. I may not be able to do anything about it. But as women, I think this is something we face in our marriage relationship sometimes. We'll be upset about something, and we go to talk to our spouse about it, and they want to fix it, which that's the way God made them. They want to be fixers. And you're like, would you just stop it? I just want you to listen to me and hug me. And they're like, I don't want to do this. That this is something as sisters that we can do for each other. We can be wise in those relationships with our sisters and say, hey, you know what? I understand what you're feeling. I can't do anything for you. I wish I could. Let me pray for you. I promise you I'll pray for you. And not minimize their feelings. So if I am wise, I will not minimize your feelings. And number 4, if I'm wise, I won't criticize your suggestions or your views. James says in verse 17 that wisdom is pure, peace-loving, considerate, and then the next thing he says is submissive. That is the only time that particular word is used in that particular way in the New Testament in the Greek. It really doesn't mean submissive at all. It is actually not a good translation. It's not the word used for submission in any other place in the Scripture. In this instance, the actual word means easy to be entreated or not stubborn, but reasonable. So he says that wisdom is pure, peace-loving, considerate, and not stubborn. The Revised Standard Version says it is open to reason. The Living Bible says it allows discussion. Wisdom is open to discussion and learning. And I want to throw something in right here because this is such a politically divisive time in our world. And typically there are very few people in the middle. You're either way on one side or way on the other side. And I think what I see on Facebook is...
Now, Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. King Jesus, I know you hear me when I pray. For I'm down here in trouble, Lord. Send an angel by my